Hey everyone, Angela here. Life can be challenging. Trust me, I get it. However, I have learned we can either view the opposition or value the opportunity. Ponder on the problem or praise the potential. Focus on the situation or find the solution. Despite the current circumstances you're going through, I invite you to join me today as we embark on a grand adventure to discover the reasons why it's a good time to be you.
Here's the encourager herself, making every day a good day, Angela Henderson.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome. We are so glad that you're here with us today on It's a Good Time to Be You. So turn to your neighbor and say, it's a good time to be you. Yes, and it is. You know, I have such an honor today to be able to share this show with my husband, Keith Henderson, and our little dog, Luna. We just wanted to be able to open up and share some heart-to-heart with you, and hopefully it's going to be inspiring. It's going to bring you some encouragement and also some strategy in maybe some current things that you are facing right now in life. Brace yourself, kids. We're about to get hit. Those were the words that I had said to my children in a dream that I had. We had just had a great year in real estate, and we had done very well for ourselves. I was working with a company locally in the Low Country. Keith had his own business at the time in manufactured housing, and we were flipping and doing some really awesome things. And so we were taking our very first family cruise. And so we laugh about it because we were on the Riviera deck. Now the Riviera deck is the deck right before you get to water. But nonetheless, we were still on a cruise, and it was our first time together with the children. But on this cruise, I had this dream. And in the dream, the children and I were looking out the portal of our room, and there was this huge wave that was coming, and the wave was shaped like a whale's tail. So I don't know if it was like the pizza that I had eaten the night before because it resembled the cruise ship that we were on, but nonetheless, here comes this big wave. And I told the children, brace yourselves, we're about to get hit. And in that dream, we did. It hit the boat capsized, and we who were at the bottom were now at the top, and those who were at the top were now at the bottom, and they were trying to get to safety, and we who were now at the top were reaching down to help them get back up. And so we want to share with you a little bit about that dream and about the things that we walked in when we did get hit and how we are now able to help other people get back up. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, Angela here, just wanting to encourage you to pick up my new book. It's a Good Time to Be You. You can find it on AngelaDHenderson.com or Amazon.com. But this is a book that you definitely need. Let me help coach you so that you can know how to turn perils into pearls and trauma into treasures. You know, life is challenging, and I kind of understand that. But in the pages of this book, you are going to realize that you are created in His image. Go figure out. What about choosing joy? That should be a given. Gethsemane. Not too sure about that one, Angela. How about approved? That's something that we all want. From prison to palace. Let me show you how to get out of prison and live in the palace. Sounds of the season. You've got a season in your life, a great season ahead of you. Listen for the sound so you can pick up on it. The joys of the journey to somewhere. You know, it's not just the destiny, but it's the joy of the journey. Hey, how about as for me and my house? You can make that declaration, and you and your family can serve the Lord. Burn the boats. Listen, if you want to take the island, you gotta burn the boats. Get rid of all your excuses and learn to fly like an eagle. You want to get this book today so that you can move forward in all the things that God has for you. Don't waste another day being down and discouraged and depressed. You got to know, my friend, that it truly is a good time to be you.
Welcome back, everyone. We are so glad that you're here today. Today I have the honor of just sharing the stage with my husband, Keith. This is the man behind the scenes that helps make everything happen, not just here on It's a Good Time to Be You, but also just any dream that we've ever lived. I'm usually the visionary in the family, and Keith is the one that makes it happen. And so, honey, I'm just so excited that you're with us. We've been married for 34 years now. And I just wanted us to be able to share a little bit about that period of time in our lives back around 2008 when we suffered the crash and just went through some things. Can you share with our audience and our friends out there, what were some of the things that you were doing where the real estate was concerned at that time?
At that time, I was a manufactured dealer for mobile homes. I had my license. I was out. I was buying used mobile homes. I was also purchasing new mobile homes direct from the manufacturer, buying land, putting those homes, clearing the land, putting the homes on the land, and basically making it affordable housing for families. And so I did that for a number of years, and so that's what I was doing whenever the market crashed.
And for me, I was selling real estate, and I was doing something that really I'd never dreamt that I was going to do. When I was a little girl, I dreamt of a lot of things, but selling real estate was not one of them. So when the Lord just laid it on my heart that I needed to be selling real estate, I kind of questioned that, because at that time in my life, I couldn't even sell Mary Kay. And I would usually give the product away. Keith would say, Angela, this isn't working. You know, you're supposed to sell, not give. But so anyway, but I knew I couldn't give people's houses away. And so I had asked the Lord, I said, God, okay, if I'm going to do this, then I want to be top producer for whatever company it is that I'm going to be working for. And so there was a company that caught my attention, and this particular company had 5 franchises. The same owners had 5 franchises in the Low Country. And so the first year in their office west of the Ashley, I was the number 3 top producer. And the second year, I was the top producer in their Goose Creek office. And the third year, which was pretty interesting and unbeknownst to me, because it wasn't anything that I was really like going out for. It wasn't like I just said, okay, I want to sell your house, or I didn't even do cold calls. All of these were just beautiful blessings of referrals that were given to us, friends, family, people that we knew that just wanted assistance where their homes were concerned. And with that being said, in this third year, I became number 8 in the state of South Carolina for the entire corporate company. So this was a blessing, and this is where we were when we were going on our family cruise. First time we'd ever been able to do that. Keith and I, we had worked secular jobs when we first got married. We took some time out of that secular work and went to work full-time in the church at this time, and so really felt that call at that stage in our lives to be full-time in ministry. So we were full-time in ministry, and then we had picked up doing our real estate business on the side, because we always encourage people, have your business, you know, and so we wanted to be able to do that as well. So then we went on this family cruise, and we had this dream. And this just shows you how ignorant I was back in those times. I wasn't paying attention, you know, to the market. I wasn't like thinking, okay, it was going to crash. Everything's going so well. Everything's doing good. Keith, what about you? What were your...
I don't think many people did. Many people didn't see the signs of what was happening in the market. We, of course, didn't either, because me and I had a business partner at that time. We were out buying land. We were calling, you know, people to purchase their land. We were still moving forward. We had a place, you know, we were had business set up, and things were going great.
Yeah, it really was. It was a good time. It was the best of times, and it also turned out to be one of the worst of times. And so we're going to take a quick break here, and we're going to come right back, and we are going to share with you what happened to us when that bubble did pop. Be right back. As a leader, you are a broker of gifts. So whether you are a professional, a business owner, or a ministerial leader, I would love to accompany you in transforming your ordinary staff into an extraordinary team through leadership development, team building, and personal discovery. You will learn the amazing gifts, skills, and talents that each of you have, and know how to bring them together in order to do great things. So reach out to me at AngelaDHenderson.com, and let's begin your amazing adventure today. And remember, it's a good time to be you. Welcome back, everyone. So here we are, Keith Henderson and my husband and myself, just kind of sharing with you a story in our lives, and hopefully it's going to bring you a lot of encouragement and just maybe some strategy from where you are at this moment and at this time. So Keith, here we are. The bubble's busted. What happened?
we didn't make any sales. So I had bought land, I had a mobile home on it, and again, things had been going really well. We had made a lot of sales. We were flipping. We didn't have an issue with that, but we bought one. We put all of our eggs in one basket, and we went out and didn't think that we'd have an issue with selling because we had just sold 2 other ones, and then all of a sudden we couldn't sell. It just dried up. Nobody was buying. Nobody was selling, and so there we were.
Yeah. And it was at that time that the Lord had spoke to me and said, you need to take up running. And I was like, what? Running? And I didn't even own a pair of tennis shoes at the time. And he said, yeah, you need to learn some endurance. And I thought about that, and I thought, endurance? What do you mean endurance? And it was about that around 2007. I had climbed a volcano, and so I thought I'd impress God and say, hey, I know how to endure. I climbed a volcano. I mean, I know how to endure. And he said, no, Angela. He said, that wasn't endurance. He said, you just had to, that was just like a little bit of a durational thing, you know. He said, but you need to learn to go the distance. And so I kind of knew at that time that we were in for a marathon of a trial. And so we both took up running, and we just ran out our anxiety and our pressure together. I mean, I can remember that was very devastating for us going through that because we were losing everything, weren't we?
Yes, we were. We didn't know what to do. We didn't know where to turn. We thought, well, we would put our house up for sale, and so we thought about doing that, and then we couldn't do that because we had this other investment property, and so we started trying to sell that. We even looked at RVs, and we went around and said, hey, maybe we could do this. If we lose both of our houses and we don't have anything to live in, we'll just live in an RV. Now, later on in life, we chose to do that just because we wanted to, but during
another adventure.
But during that time, you know, we weren't able to pay things. We weren't able to pay because when you borrow other people's money, people want their money back, and people were needing money at that time. So everybody was hurting, and we were getting calls from banks and creditors and different things. And I would talk to him because I read this book by T.D. Jakes, and it was called Repositioning Yourself. And it really encouraged me to deal straight forward with anybody that ever called me, not to run from the problem, but to face the problem, to talk to anybody. And if they left me a message, I would call them back. So it didn't matter what it was, if it mattered if it was a credit card, if it mattered if it was our mortgage, it didn't matter what it was, whatever they called me about, I would take it head on, and I would call them back, and I would talk to them about our situation.
I remember the bank that was really harassing, but again, it was like everybody was hurting. Everybody needed their money. Everybody wanted their money. And so I remember when I would go to make a payment on something that we could make a payment on, I'd go through the drive-thru, and the first time a red flag came up on us, they wouldn't let me make the payment through the drive-thru. And so they told me, you know, Miss Henderson, you're a member with a flag. We need you to come inside in order to make this loan payment. So I went to the parking lot, and I went inside. And once I had to go through the line, I had to wait. And once I got up to the teller's desk, they said, oh, yes, you're a member with a flag. Hang on. And so they made a phone call to their branch manager, and they passed me the phone. And the branch manager says, okay, Ms. Henderson, we realize that you're here to make a payment on this loan, but what about this other loan? And so I told them, you know, as soon as we get the money, you'll get your money, but today I can make a payment on this particular one. And so after it happened for a couple of times like that, I mean, this was a regular thing, I got to where I would say when I'd go in, I just wouldn't even go try to the drive-thru. I would just go right on into the bank. I'd stand in line, I'd look at the person behind me and say, when I get up there, it may take a while because I'm a member with a flag. And the first time I said that, there was someone in line with me, and they said, I have a flag too. And so we began to talk about our flags and just what was going on in our lives at that time. And that's when I realized that a lot of people were hurting and not just us. And so I just began to make it a bank ministry. And, you know, every time I walk in, you know, we were all just trying to do the best that we could with what little bit we had. And it was at that time that while we were running, our route would take take us past that bank. And I used to curse that bank. I used to say, oh, you know, we just pray fire and brimstone come down upon this bank. And the Lord just checked me on that. And he said, Angela, why are you doing that? He says, the very thing you're cursing is the very thing I want to use to bless you. And so it changed my attitude. And so Keith and I started, as we would run our route, we started praying blessings upon our community, families, neighborhoods, the bank, businesses, because we realized we were all hurting at that time. So we had to shift our mindset from our pain and begin to, you know, speak blessings into that. So when we come back, we're going to share with you a little bit more about that route and what became of that pain. So don't go away.
You have a remarkable story with an extraordinary outcome? Well, if you do, I'd love to invite you to submit that to us at itsagoodtimetobeYou@gmail.com. We would love to review it for consideration, and who knows, you might just find yourself on our show. So enjoy the rest of your day, and remember, it's a good time to be you.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here, Keith and Angela Henderson, just sharing a story and a chapter of our life. One of many stories, but this one we know just really, it speaks to us even to this day, and we hope that it brings encouragement to you as well. So we dropped off where we are now having to learn to bless the very instrument that was being used against us and opposing us, to begin blessing it, so in turn it could be a blessing to us. And God was shifting our mindset in this time of really deep, intense financial despair and distress, realizing that we weren't the only ones that were going through that. And I want to encourage you out here today. You know, we all have our issues and we all have our stressful moments and our challenges. But again, they're only meant to make us stronger. They're not meant to destroy us. And the same God, you know, that parted the Red Sea can also part the Red Sea that's in your life that seems to be opposing you from crossing over and getting to the promises that God has for you. And so it was at this time that we were hurting, we were losing everything, even the home that we were living in. Keith had to turn in a truck that he had bought for the business. It was a dream truck of his. As he mentioned, we were going around looking at RVs, thinking that that's where what we were gonna be living in, and we could put, you know, one child could sleep here, one child could sleep there, another one could sleep there. We homeschooled the kids, so it wouldn't be, we could do it. If we had to start all over again, we could make it happen. But what was one of the interesting things that happened, though, where our main loan was with the home that we were living in?
we were able to get a modification on that. Not only that, we were able to get two. I had to call them and say, we already have one. There was like, you already have one? And I heard somebody say one time that the remodifications were unicorns. Well, we had unicorns and rainbows because we were able to get that done to our house. So that was very encouraging for us. I spoke to the bank multiple times. They did not want our house because they had so many homes that they had already foreclosed on. They did not want our house. So we ended up December 31st, 2009 at a closing table with the investment property that we had out in Jedburgh in South Carolina, and we were able to sell that, and then after that we had funds to take care of what we needed to take care of.
One of the things that Keith and I did that was a strategy for us during that time was we opted not to fight and bicker between each other. You know, years and years ago, back 20 years plus, something like that would have destroyed our marriage.
Right.
You know, we were on shaky ground years ago, and we wouldn't have been able to have handled that. But because we had come 20 years into a deeper relationship with not only with each other but with God, we opted to, instead of pulling apart, we pulled in towards each other, and we would lean on each other every day as well as lean into God. And we would say, you know, we got in this together and we're going to get out of this together. And we would just make that recommitment to each other. You know, commitment's important, guys. is very important because that helps us to stay focused as we are even facing challenges in life. But recommitment is even better, okay? Because when you can recommit every day, recommit, then it solidifies that, it seals it, it makes it even stronger. And so every day we would recommit to one another. We got in this together and we are going to get out of this together. We're not leaving any man behind in this time and in this situation. And so then there came the time where we would go, okay, I'm so glad to be in this with you, but I'm tired of being in this with you. We're ready to get out together. And so we began to just think of ways and think of strategies. So, honey, what happened as we were sitting at that closing table on December the 31st? You didn't let the dust settle under your feet too much longer. I mean, what did you begin to do then?
Well, because I had read that book, which I encourage anybody that's going through a very difficult time, Repositioning Yourself by T.D. Jakes. I immediately after that, the money got in the bank, and after they paid off who they needed to pay off, I started calling up these creditors that had been calling me for months, and I said, hey, I want to negotiate on this, getting rid of this. And so I become a master negotiator about trying to get that down. Of course, our credit was already destroyed, so I knew that. So I knew that they would take less for what was actually owed, and so I began to negotiate that. I had one that I had actually called, and they're like, we don't know that we have this. I'm like, you have it, because I just called somebody else and they said you had it. So I want to make, and so sure enough, it just took a little bit of time, and then they verified, okay, we do have it. And so I just kept talking to them, and of course, never allow them to come into your bank account. If you ever go through this, you always deal with that outside and send them certified funds. So that's what I did. And I have the biggest story, though, was from the bank that treated us badly, that we began to bless when we were running. That was the biggest one story that I would like to share.
So don't go away. We're going to take a break, and when we come right back, Keith is going to share how that bank actually really blessed us. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for being with us today. So we left off where the bank that was really coming after us and causing us a lot of pain, the Lord really did use it to be a blessing to us. So Keith, tell us what happened.
Well, when I called them, we were only about 3 months behind where they were concerned. And it was a second mortgage that was on our house, because when I was doing this, I did a second mortgage on the house, and didn't even think that there would ever be an issue with that, but it happened, and that's what transpired. So I called them up. They said, we've already sold it. I said, I'm just 3 months behind. I said, you sold the rights to that? Do you still have the rights? And they said, yes, we still have the rights. So then I negotiated, and I made an amount to them and told them, I'll give you this. And I was like, well, how can you do that? I says, how do you want it? $1 bills, $5 bills, all cash? You want, certified funds? What do you want? And I'll bring it there. It took them a few days, because I kept calling them every day to remind them, hey, I got this offer on the table. I would like to give you this amount for the instead of the amount that's owed. And it took day after day, me calling, and I don't know, it was probably at least a week, maybe even closer to 2 weeks, before they actually responded and said, we'll take it. I said, draw up the paperwork, send me the letter, I'm coming right over. And that's exactly what happened, and it ended up being about $58,000 less than what the original loan was.
So that bank blessed us, okay, with $58,000 as they were, pursuing us to get their money. And so we started chasing them afterwards. And so it was just about changing our mindset, wasn't it?
It was. We had to change our mindset, and that was something that was very difficult, especially for me. It was very difficult. It was a lot of pride because I didn't want to walk through that. I didn't like it, even though you didn't blame me. It was some of the things that I had done that caused us to get to this situation. But instead of that, you encouraged me. You were there with me. We walked through it together, and we ended up, after many, months and years, we came back on top.
We did. And God was so faithful in that. He was faithful to the commitment that we had made to each other and to Him, getting out of it together, being able to experience, a lot of different things. I think we even grew as a family with the kids even, we didn't hide it from them. We got Luna out of the mix. Right. She was a gift to us during that time. One of the best things that came out of that. But we would even, like with the children, we were honest with them. They were preteens, and so they could understand a little bit that we were going to have to tighten up on some things. But we really still tried to make it fun and lively for our family. We would create games with them and opportunities. Okay, we got $43 for groceries this week. Let's get creative. You plan a meal for $10. You plan a meal for $10. Enough would be leftovers for the next night. And the kids would just do it. They would come up with ideas, and we did the best that we could at that time. But it increased their faith as well, walking through that with us and watching how we chose to be during it, because it could have been something, again, that could have really torn our family asunder, but we were determined that that was not going to happen. And even I remember afterwards we joined a financial peace university and took the kids with us, So we all went and took that course together, and so that our kids could learn, how to be good stewards with their finances. So it really ended up working in our favor, and God is such a good God. And today, we're just blessed beyond measure because of it. And what we earn doesn't even measure up, or what we have rather doesn't even measure to what we earn, because God just gives above and beyond. His blessings are amazing. So, honey, when did you realize rather that it was a good time to be you?
October the 3rd, 1987.
Good answer. Good answer. Okay, and what is October the 3rd, 1987?
That's when I'm married. It's a good time to be you. So
oh, my goodness.
I realized it was a good time to be me, because he who finds a wife finds a good thing. So I'm blessed beyond measure. And of course, that's just my life, living it with it's a good time to be you.
Well, I can't say anything else after that one. How about at the count of 3, we just let them know it's a good time to be you, okay? 1, 2, 3. It's a good time to be you.
Thank you.